Did you know that strange and creepy creatures live in the waters of our planet? Are you aware that many of them are caught by fishermen? Watch our video, and you'll find out what kind of catch you can unexpectedly get. Ready to dive into the depths of dark waters and frightening creatures? Grab some pancakes and let's go! Who would have thought that a world of giants exists in the depths of the ocean? July 23rd, 2002. Scientists have managed to obtain confirmation of the existence of one of the most mysterious sea monsters. An incredible incident occurred off the coast of Tasmania, which is very close to Australia. A giant squid washed ashore. The creature weighed 250 kilograms, and the length of its tentacles was over 15 meters. Just imagine this giant. The most interesting thing is that until now, giant squids were considered a sea legend. However, after some time, they started to occasionally be caught by local fishermen. Scientists didn't believe until the very end that a creature nearly 20 meters long actually existed, until they received photographs of a real live giant squid. Moreover, the word giant is the actual name that squids received, because of their incredible sizes. 2 years later, in 2004, scientists themselves took pictures of huge super squids in ocean waters. Today, when the mystery of the giant mollusks has been revealed, their exact sizes have become known. The length from the end of the fins to the tips of the catching tentacles of the giant squid varies between males and females. Female specimens are about 13 meters long, while males are smaller, around 10 meters. Without the tentacles, the squid's length is somewhat more modest, measuring about 5 meters. Stay tuned, and you'll find out where a new monster, in the realm of Hollywood sea monsters, came from. Megalodons and giant killer squids have long been a part of Hollywood cinema and horror films. But what about the fong-tooth monster? Just imagine a huge fish with an equally huge toothy mouth that an ordinary Japanese fisherman caught while fishing near Fukushima Island. Its size was so incredible that he had no choice but to capture a photo of himself holding the mega fong-tooth for history. Typically, the fish reaches no more than 1.5 meters in length and weighs a maximum of 35 kilograms. But what the Japanese fisherman caught turned out to be a real mutant. Its body length from head to tail tip was nearly 2 meters. Accordingly, its weight was much greater as well. When exactly this event took place, history remains silent. But, judging by the fact that the Japanese public became concerned after seeing the photo, that such unusual sizes of the fong-tooth could be a consequence of the radiation background from Fukushima, the catch happened in our time. And the radiation from the nuclear power plant had nothing to do with it, according to scientists. It's just a very large fish. Watch the video next, and you'll find out that visiting New Zealand is worth it not just for the beautiful nature and good ecology. What you will see will shock you. Storms in New Zealand are quite common. This island is located right at the junction of two tectonic plates, the Australian and the Pacific. Hence the constant volcanic eruptions, storms, and even tsunamis. And one day, after one of these natural disasters, a local resident discovered an unidentified 10-meter creature on the shore. The photo taken by the woman is striking, as it shows a real monster from the depths of the sea. Its head, with open jaws and sharp teeth, is half buried in the sand, while a large part of its body is simply missing. Where it went is unknown. But it's unlikely that the head traveled across the ocean alone. Opinions on who or what is in the photo vary. Some suggested it's a sea crocodile, while others mistook the toothy giant for a giant eel. There were also those who saw a dolphin in the monster, and even a prehistoric dinosaur. An expert from New Zealand's Department of Conservation, who studies marine mammals, intervened in the debate. In his opinion, we are dealing not with a crocodile, eel, or dinosaur, but with a common orca. But even here, additional research is needed to accurately determine who or what was actually brought to New Zealand's shores by the storm. Stay tuned, and you'll find out what monsters lurk in the waters of the Pacific Ocean off the coast of South America. Have you ever seen a gray jellyfish that is 12 meters long and weighs 13 tons? If not, then you're really lucky. Unfortunately, Chilean fishermen were not able to avoid this unpleasant encounter. One day on the shore of the Pacific Ocean, they stumbled upon a jelly-like giant that was also emitting a terrible stench. They couldn't figure out what it was, as the carcass was already decomposing. Apparently, it had been lying under the bright Chilean sun for more than a day. Ocean scientists can determine whose remains were before the fishermen's eyes through DNA testing. However, they didn't dare to conduct the research, or perhaps they just learned about the find too late. Therefore, to this day, their opinions on what kind of sea creature washed ashore vary. Three main theories have been proposed: the partially decomposed remains of a giant squid, a bloated whale, or an octopus. The third theory received the most votes. We won't argue with them and will trust their opinion on this matter. Stay tuned in our video to see the terrible finds encountered by fishermen and ordinary residents of the American state of Florida. Now that's a mystery, for sure. In 2012, a local resident was walking on the beach and discovered a strange ball, which turned out to be... What do you think? You'll never guess. The ball turned out to be the eye of some sea monster. How it ended up on the beach is unknown, as well as who it actually belonged to. Scientists have speculated in every way possible, conducted a huge number of studies, and even concluded that the eye was lost in the battle with a giant squid. But the theory turned out to be incorrect, and the eye remains a mystery to science. The land of Florida is rich in super monsters. In the height of the season, fishermen went out to sea to do some fishing off the coast of Key West. Imagine their surprise when, instead of the usual herring, they caught a real monster in their nets, or rather, a goblin. Yes, that's right. That's the name of one of the species of sharks. Not only was the sea monster over 5 meters long, but it also looked like it had swum to the shores of Florida straight from the times of dinosaurs and other prehistoric creatures. The most interesting part is that the fishermen were right. Scientists, who were immediately intrigued by the goblin shark, explained that it hasn't changed much in the last 125 million years, and this is despite the fact that this species of sea monsters hasn't been studied as much as one would like. The thing is, goblins prefer solitude at great depths and rarely surface. How one ended up in the fishermen's nets is also a mystery. Perhaps it just wanted to grab a bite, and the net was completely out of place. Stay tuned, and you'll find out that a hungry monster is no joke, especially if it's not picky about its food. In scientific circles, this sea creature is known as the great tigerfish or Goliath fish. What a modest name, you might say, and I completely agree with you. It seems like there's nothing to worry about, especially since the fish looks quite ordinary. However, this is where the mystery lies, one we wouldn't advise anyone to solve, because the great tigerfish, it is none other than the most bloodthirsty river fish. Forewarned is forearmed. For there are known cases when this Goliath fish has devoured even people and crocodiles. Can you imagine how hungry one must be to have a meal that's definitely not plankton? Every self-respecting fisherman considers it an honor to hunt for tiger fish. One day, the famous TD host and river fish expert Jeremy Wade decided to hunt for the Goliath fish. He chased it for a whole 8 days along the Congo River. Without knowing sleep or rest, let's take a little break from the topic and talk about what the Congo River is like. It is the second largest and deepest river in the world. It has a very strong current, so only monsters like the large tigerfish can survive in it. It is not afraid of speed. It feels absolutely comfortable in it, while devouring everything that the current sweeps into its mouth. So, on the 8th day, Jeremy Wade finally got lucky, and it's all thanks to his experience, as this man has been fishing since childhood. His catch was a Goliath fish weighing 70 kilograms and measuring 1.5 meters long. It's just a gigantic monster in fish scales. Just look at its teeth. One can only admire the experience and fearlessness of this man. Stay tuned, and you'll find out that you don't have to travel far across the seas to find the sea monster. It can be encountered in familiar waters. In 2014, a fishing trawler from Sevastopol, while fishing in its native waters, caught a miraculous fish. No, not a whale at all, but something unknown. Unfortunately, the encounter with the monster turned out to be tragic. One of the sailors died, and it was only by a miracle that they avoided other losses, as the monster was so aggressive that it was ready to tear apart anyone nearby. It was decided to send the bloodthirsty fish for research to their theologians, so they could find out what it was and why it ended up where it shouldn't be. Scientists concluded that the sea monster could be a house shark, living in the Sea of Japan. The monster does indeed have an external resemblance to this quite harmless species of shark, as it mainly feeds on fish and seafood like squid and octopus. The house shark mainly lives in warm seas and oceans, and the warmer, the better. How it ended up there, if it really was her, in the not-so-warm Black Sea is unknown. It may be related to global warming. Scientists have also suggested that it could be a prehistoric species of shark that went extinct hundreds of thousands of years ago, but one specimen somehow broke through space and time. Whoever the predator turns out to be, scientists still haven't figured out how it ended up in the Black Sea. Stay tuned, and you'll find out how a tuna sandwich might be too tough to chew. Many people in the modern civilized world probably don't know what a tuna looks like. After all, they're used to seeing it only in cans, floating in oil or its own juice. And although you can also find certain species of tuna in fish market displays, you're unlikely to find a fish longer than half a meter there. And it's even more surprising that, it turns out, giant-sized tunas have been swimming off the coast of Nova Scotia for over 100 years. In 1913, a Nova Scotian fisherman named Jake Ross decided to go fishing not far from home. Habitually casting his line, he patiently waited for some smelt or sea bass to bite. And the last thing he expected to see on his hook was a massive tuna weighing a whole 308 kilograms. Do you think Mr. Ross was flustered? Of course not. A couple of clever moves, and the tuna dinner was not just for the fisherman, but for the entire fishing village. That's what you call lucking out. By the way, the man managed to catch the giant solely with a fishing rod. How he managed to do it, we unfortunately will never know. By today's standards, it wasn't even that big of a tuna. Evolution doesn't stand still, and today there are truly gigantic specimens in the world's seas and oceans. For example, the bluefin tuna. This, let's not be afraid to call it a baby, grows to a length of 4 to 4.5 meters and weighs, believe it or not, over 600 kilograms. Of course, any self-respecting sailor would want to be a Jekyll Keyel Ross and catch a bigger fish, but it's all about luck. Stay tuned, and you'll find out that herring has its own king, and he is truly enormous. The herring king or belt fish, a creature that is extremely rare in marine waters. Its appearance is certainly not pleasant, but you can rest assured for your life if you happen to encounter it while fishing off the coast of California. According to seasoned fishermen, the herring king feeds on small plankton, and its meat is quite unappetizing. So don't rush to catch it for lunch, unless you want to take a picture and release it, just like the American sailors did. During exercises, the US Navy SEALs spotted a long fish. It happened not far from the California city of San Diego. The sailors couldn't resist catching the monster and then taking a picture with it, especially since the size of the fish turned out to be simply incredible. It weighed a whopping 136 kilograms, and its length was a full 700 centimeters. The longest specimen known to scientists measures 11 meters, and weighs 272 kilograms. Of course, the herring king caught by the American sailors was far from the modern giant, but the very fact of encountering it was already a monumental event. The beltfish is listed in the Guinness World Records as the longest fish in the world, and it turns out that you can use such a belt to wrap around the entire crew. That's exactly what the sailors did, and then they took a commemorative photo. In the depths of the ocean, incredible animals can be found. Scientists have a huge task ahead of them to study them, and perhaps someday we will find out who these giant monsters really were and what their atypical sizes are related to. But that's all for today. See you soon with more amazing stories. Friends, you have the opportunity to join our team. If you have video editing skills, can voice videos in Russian, English, and other languages, or write interesting scripts, we would be happy to work with you. Message our Telegram bot. The link is in the description.